Hey guys, it's Julian, and today I'm super excited to be showing you how to make acid techno like Aphex Twin. As usual, you get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets, all that kind of stuff for this video in the description, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there, because it's all already available. And yeah, let's get started. So, this loop we heard in the intro, we're at 134 BPM. The first sound we have here is the 303, which sounds like this. And this. So as you heard in the intro and as you just saw, we have two different 303 patterns. Basically, I have this one. They're both based around the same key. There's this one, and then there's this one, which has a bit of a different feel, but basically these are the style of 303 patterns you hear a lot in Aphex Twin's music. He likes these very kind of hectic, intense ones like this. So you can see this is all just based on 16th notes, and it's really not that complicated. It's mostly just following like an F minor type of thing. Like you can see, okay, we have F down here, then we have C, the 5th of F, not really that crazy. C sharp, just one note up from the 5th. We have another F. We have an F sharp, just one note up from F, and then A sharp, another C, another F. Like, it's all just notes, like, I don't know, it's not really that complicated in terms of the notes. What's more difficult, I feel like, is just kind of getting the pattern. And the key here is, I feel like, you need to have a drum pattern that you're writing it to. Like, when I started this, I started it with this. And then I added the 303. Because you can hear it's really playing off of, like, the groove of the drums. It's kind of like the feel you're getting there. Like, okay, for example, if you listen to the beat, it's kind of like, you know, the way we have it with all that percussion, you get this, like, kind of, this feel where, like, when the 4 hits, it's kind of like stopping, and then the next part comes. And so the 303 is following that. You know, and then it bounces back into the beginning, just kind of stuff like that. I feel like writing it to a drum pattern is a bit easier. And then for the second one, I wrote that to the drum pattern as well. Yeah, I mean, it's not that hard. One thing you'll notice also is a lot of the notes are very staccato. So you can see, like, in this one especially, this is set to the 16th note grid. So this would be like a full 16th note. See how that note's a little short? That's how almost everything is in here. And it definitely gives it more of like a bouncy, kind of choppy feeling where you can hear each individual note a little bit more. So yeah, and then for the sound on this one, I made it using Operator, and this is actually a pretty simple 303 sound. All it is just a saw wave here going into a low pass filter with a bit of an envelope on it. You can see the filter, I've got the resonance all the way up. That's kind of the key for the 303 sound. You can hear when I get rid of that. It still sounds kind of cool, but it's not quite that super nice, like, acid sound. And then also, I have this being automated, the filter frequency. You can see that on both of these clips here. Yeah, we just have the filter kind of slowly moving throughout the track. So, this is very important, you know, with acid house or techno or whatever, especially, like, back in the day. You know, the whole thing is you kind of get this 303 pattern, and it just keeps repeating and repeating. So, that can get boring very quickly, especially if, you know, it's like one bar like this. So, this is where the automation comes in. If you're constantly moving the filter, it will sound a lot more interesting. And so that's what we have going on here. I have that for this one, and I also have it on this one. Also, I didn't mention this before, but if you get this project file in the description, you do get both of these 303 patterns. But yeah, so like I said, like, it's just kind of moving it, keeping it interesting. Like, I'll show you. If we just turn off this automation for a second, just keep it in one place. It's just not as fun and, like, interesting as that is. So yeah, and then for effects on there, I just have a bit of echo. You can see that's just doing easy notes. I don't have a whole lot of it, but I think the echo is pretty important. If I turn it off, you can hear. It's just like very straight and dry sound. But the echo just kind of gives it a bit of space. After that, I have the saturator and this drum bus, so I'll turn these off and show you kind of one by one what they're doing. Here's without them. So you can hear at first the saturator is beefing it up. Again, if we go from nothing to the saturator, you can hear it beefs it up a bit, makes it a little bit more crunchy sounding, and just gives it more texture. But then the drum bus really takes it over the top. And it's still not like super distorted. Like, you still want it to have some clarity for the style, I find. So that's why I didn't just like distort it all the way. But it's giving it a bit more, and it's really giving it some nice crunch. So yeah, stacking distortions is really good with 303 sounds because, you know, 303, it is very sensitive to subtle nuances in the processing and kind of like just the sonic character in general. So just doing it slowly with like multiple distortions as opposed to just having one super hard one can be a bit more of an effective way to dial this in. And then the last thing we have on there is just an EQ8, which is cutting out the low end a little bit to make room for the kick. But then also it's cutting at 202 hertz, so just a little bit of kind of like a mud cut there. If I turn that off, you can hear when I turn it on. Yeah, just kind of cleans it up a bit, makes it a little bit less messy sounding. And that is it for the 303. The next thing that we have here is this little string, which sounds like this. So what we got going on here is it's just a little string sample. I have it in simpler here. You can see it's just playing F and F sharp. This is just adding something a little bit extra to the track, you know. Aphex Twin does this a lot. I've heard this in a lot of his like AFX tracks as well, where it'll be like, you know, just this kind of like harder acid type of vibe, and then you add something like this over top of it. So then it's not just the 303 and the drums, because it'd be kind of boring if it was a whole track of just the 303 and the drums. So that is where the string comes in. It still keeps it so it's focused on the 303 and the drums, but it's adding something a bit extra to it and kind of like adding the little details. And this is the thing too, with this more simple music, like, I mean, you know, acid house and techno, it's not the most complicated thing in the world. These little details like this are really what make the difference in terms of like making something good and making something amazing. So yeah, that's just playing that, you know, again, just adding something more melodic over top of the 303. So like I said, for this, it's just a string in a simpler, and then I just have a bit of reverb on that and a bit of drum bus to kind of fan it up. Here's without that. You hear it's very small sounding, but the drum bus just kind of fills it out. So it's good for things that aren't just drums. But yeah, that is it for the string. Next thing that we have here is the drums, which starts with this kick, which sounds like this. So this is a pretty simple kick, you know, it's just like this kind of punchy. I'll show you. So yeah, just kind of like a punchy kick. And you can see I've got it in here. I don't have any processing on it individually, but I do have some group processing going on. But yeah, just like a tighter, kind of shorter, more punchy kick. You wouldn't want like a long 808 or anything, because you have the 303 playing in the low end with it. So this just kind of fits in nicely with the 303. Next thing that we have here is the percussion, which is actually made up of quite a few layers and sounds like this. So you can hear we've got a few different things. We have like, you know, some kind of high-end type stuff like this tambourine and this ride. And then some kind of more mid-range things. You know, it's just kind of like getting a lot of small things. Again, this is like what I was saying with that string as well. It's like the small details like these things are what make a big difference. Because I really could just have the drums be like, I mean, really, we could have it just be like the hi-hat and the snare and the kick. And it would just be really simple. That works, but think about how much more alive it sounds when you add all this stuff in here. You know, that really makes it sound exciting and fun. And this is also something that Aphex Twin does a lot in these kinds of tracks. Like, he's good at putting together a ton of different percussion. key is just making sure that it fits into the track. It's kind of like I was saying, when you're writing the 303, you want to be listening to everything when you're coming up with this, because if you're starting to add in layers of percussion like this, and layers and layers and layers, it can start to get kind of, like it can start to get kind of out of control, I should say, like, just too many things happening, so. Yeah, and also, like, you can see I have things happening at different times, like everything doesn't just hit at the same time. For example, to beef up the snare, I have this open hi-hat and this clap, but they don't play at the same time. It's like the open hi-hat and then the clap. So stuff like that, just kind of like doing it strategically like that. Or like if you notice with this tambourine and the ride, they're in similar ranges in terms of like where they are in the mix. So I made sure to have them playing. There's no notes where they overlap or anything like that, you know. So it's very tight and clean and kind of like just paying a lot of attention to how everything fits together. So yeah, the next thing that we have here is the snare. It sounds like this. This is pretty simple, just sort of like a punchy drum machine style snare. And then you can hear I have it going through this drum bus, which is fattening it up quite a bit and making it really punch in the mix. And yeah, that's it for the snare. The next thing that we have here is the hi-hat, which sounds like this. So this is just like a little sort of like drum machine style hi-hat. And then you can see I've got this going through a bit of drum bus as well. This really helps, you know. You don't want to just have like the dry sounds. You really want to have them sound more warm and powerful and fat. So adding this drum bus and adding saturation and all that kind of stuff is really helping for that with all these sounds. So then I have all those drums in a group. I called it the drum machine because I'm kind of processing this as if it was all just coming out of one drum machine, right? Like, you know, if you have a drum machine, you just plug that one output into something. And then, like, if you want to put it through some distortion or you want to put it through some compression or anything like that, you're putting everything through that at once. And what it does is it makes everything sound a lot more together and cohesive. So if you listen to this drum beat, everything really sounds like it's in the same, like, world sonically, right? Like, it really all fits together. Sounds like it's all made to fit together. This isn't just because I chose a bunch of samples that sounded like they were supposed to be put together and somehow I magically had the skill to do that. This is because of the group processing on here. It's because we're putting the same saturation and distortion and all that kind of stuff on all of these sounds at once. And because of that, because we're getting all the same thing, it makes them all sound really cohesive. So here is with nothing. And with the effects, so you can see what we got here is just a drum bus and a saturator. I'm using these kind of like I was saying actually with the 303, where it's like, you know, with these kind of more nuanced things where you need to be really careful, aka processing drums all at once. Definitely is one of those things. You know, it helps to just kind of do it in more subtle intervals like this. So that's what we have here. Like you can hear, here's dry. And then the drum bus fattens it up a bit, ties everything together. And then the saturator is what's really like pulling it through that extra little bit. And again, it's just a bit more effective than just trying to do it all with one effect. So that is it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Let me know what you want to see me do tomorrow as well. Thank you so much, everybody. Once again, you get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets and all that kind of stuff from this video in the description. And if you're Patreon on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. And yeah, like I said, thank you, everyone. And I will see you tomorrow with another video.